Good evening. Thank you for tuning in and watching this broadcast. If you're watching it live as it's gone out on Thursday the 2nd of November or afterwards. My name is Mr. Maxwell. I'm the Assistant Head Teacher for Achievement at Newman. And hopefully in this just over 20-minute video, I'm going to go through and answer a lot of questions that we know parents often have and students definitely have. Okay, so thank you again for watching. I'm hoping you're going to find this video very informative and helpful. I've got three main aims. The first of those is to provide an update on all things surrounding exams, year 11, preparations, etc. The second is to share with you and let you and students know how much support is out there to help them, particularly the period 6 after school revision. And the third is to try and give a little advice on revision and study techniques and how students can help build better their preparations independently with confidence. Before we go any further, I think the best place to start is with just how much help and support is there, and please do reach out. On the screen there, you've got a list of year leader contact, pastoral coordinator, academic coordinator, myself, the exams officer, and of course your child's form tutor will be in that list also. It can feel daunting in year 11, there can be challenges, but please do reach out if you require support, help, struggling, whatever it is. There's a whole raft of people there in year 11 to support you. And of course, on a daily basis, your child is meeting with their form tutor every morning, and that would always be the best port of call. So to help supplement all the information that I'm going to go through in this broadcast this evening, we will be sending out via MyEd an electronic copy and giving to all year 11 students a paper copy in their hand, an information booklet that goes through all the information that I'm going to go through in this video, plus extra details as well, so that you've got a physical copy there that you can refer back to, hopefully referring back to the contacts that we've just seen on the previous slide, or the useful tips and information that I'm going to walk you through. So that booklet will have in it all the key advice shared in this presentation, a page with a key calendar of listed dates and events, and also crucially at the back, subject information pages for all of our GCSE and BTEC subjects. So please do pay particular attention to those because they've got key calendars showing you the units and assessments that students will be working through, key information such as how the course is broken down in that subject and what students will be assessed on, and also other bits of useful information, sort of point you to revision guides or useful websites for that subject. So definitely worth paying attention to the back end of the booklet if you want to find out subject-specific related information for the courses of study that your child is taking. So speaking of those key dates, the booklet that I've referenced that you'll be receiving will contain more, but here are some of the key standout ones that I want to go through. So starting off first of all, about 3 weeks away, the year 11 mock exams, which are all taking place in the week commencing of the 20th of November. Year 11 know about those, they've been preparing for those, they know when their exams are, but they will receive their letter that tells them their exact location and seat number very shortly. Not long after that, obviously a few weeks and until they're marked, we'll then hold our annual year 11 mock results day on Friday the 15th of December. That's something we've done every year for a consecutive number of years now. It's always a full day that we commit to year 11, where they're off timetable, receive their results, go through a series of revision skills workshops, etc., and try and dedicate the whole day to reflecting on how they performed and what they can do next in the coming months building up to the real summer exams. Straight after Christmas, we've got year 11 parents' evening on Wednesday the 10th of January, so hopefully you can all make that one. The booklet, as I said, will contain specific information for each subject, so do pay particular attention to the subject pages for mentioning coursework and controlled assessment deadlines. We always run big push on Easter holiday and May holiday revision, sort of right in the holidays building up to the May and June exams, and that'll be no different this year. So as we get close to the Easter and the May holidays, you'll get published from me sessions that are on that students can attend during the holidays for revision. And then obviously, last but not least, we're building up to the summer, where the GCSE exam window will kick off on the 13th of May, run for about 5 weeks, and it doesn't end officially until and including Wednesday the 26th of June. So that is our contingency date where if, and let's hope not, an exam was cancelled and moved nationally, the exam could be moved up to and including that date. So really important there that parents and students don't book any holidays before that date of Wednesday the 26th of June and including it. Okay, so after having spelt out those key dates, I think it's important now to articulate the time that we've got remaining in building up to the summer. Hopefully to just guide Year 11 in their preparations and help give an important sense of urgency that it is important to be dedicated each lesson and each week. So as of Monday the 6th of November, that'll be the week after this has been watched on Thursday, we'll have 22 school weeks left actually in school before the GCSE exam starts. That's 110 days. And so Year 11 by that point have already completed 86% of all the time that they're going to spend in secondary school. So it really does mean that every remaining lesson that we've got and every day in those 22 weeks are crucial. So absolutely vital that Year 11 attendance is as high as it can be. What that would equate to, if it wasn't, it can be quite daunting when you see it spelled out. If a student, for example, was on around 95% attendance, they'd have actually missed 9 days that year in Year 11, which adds up to 45 lessons. And obviously, it's a big chunk in our final year of preparation. So it can be tough. We're about to head into winter. It can be difficult with sniffles, etc. But Year 11, please do be making every effort to get in, and not just get in, when we're in, fully committing to every lesson. Because you can see, when it's actually spelled out for you, there's not as much time remaining as you think, and Year 11 is the shortest year with actually finishing the year in June. I'm now going to move into spending a few minutes articulating the GCSEs and grade boundaries and how they're calculated. And obviously the change in the old grades from grades A, B, C over to the 1 to 9 was another confusing element as well. Parents obviously and students obviously know we sit an exam, we do a test, we get a mark, but understanding the context behind how those marks are taken and how those grades are awarded can actually help enlighten to the fact that, as much as it's a horrible thing to say, we are in a competition competing with other students nationally. So what I mean by that is all GCSE results depend on national performance. What is not a case of is simply you need to achieve X mark to get grade Y. So you can't be guaranteed, well, if I get 50 marks on English paper, it's going to be a grade whatever, because it changes every year depending on the performance of students that year in that cohort. So students up and down the country, again, whether you like this or not, and it's a horrible thing to have to say, you are competing with each other for those grades because there's only a certain amount of them going to be given out. And grade boundaries will only get higher if students across the country are performing better. And so you could, in theory, stay on the exact same mark from your mock exam back in November, but that might not equate to the same grade in the summer because if other students have upped their performance and upped their marks, then you stayed still and you might actually drop down without technically not losing any marks. So I've mentioned the gradings 1 to 9 and the confusion that can cause with having understood the old system but not the new. I'll just spend a short time explaining. The screen shows you a conversion chart and you've got a detailed bigger version of this in the booklet that you'll receive. Like for like comparison can be made at certain levels, and if you think of a grade 4, that would equate to what was previously a grade C and accepted as what would be called a standard pass mark. So a grade 4 GCSE is considered as the standard pass mark. Grade 5 was a newly created grade to separate and show the difference between students who had only just reached a grade C, there are now grade 4s, and students that had excelled and got a high grade C, low grade B. So our grade 5 is termed by the government as a good pass. It's therefore stronger, as you sometimes hear it called. Grade 7 is set at what used to be the old grade A mark, and then the A star is now broken down into 2. The grade 8 is more in line with what was previously an A star, and the grade 9, and the way I say it to the students, is really now more like a grade A star, the very top. And it's only around the top 3% of students in the country that are awarded the grade 9s. So if that's useful to understand, grade 4, minimum standard pass mark, 5, strong pass, 7 was the old traditional grade A. What's worth bearing in mind here, importantly, is college applications. Colleges set different criteria for their conditional offer. So you may find some college providers that accept grade 4 as a standard pass, but you will increasingly find colleges that are requesting that students have achieved at least a grade 5 or above. And it's important to know that and know what is needed for you to secure your course for the next destination. So please just don't think that grade 4 is the minimum that we're aiming for. And so, as I said, there isn't a minimum guaranteed pass mark. The grades are actually awarded based on you being in the top percentile of the country and competing nationally with your peers. So last summer, for example, only between 61 to 64% of students were awarded a grade 4 or above in English or Maths. If you were not in that top 64% of students when all the marks in the country were awarded, you would have been awarded a grade 3 or lower. Similarly, as we work up to the higher grades, the percentage of those grades being awarded gets lower. So less than half of the students are normally awarded a grade 5, and as you get towards grade 7 and above, it's only less than 20. So you must make sure that you're in that top 61 to 64%, but it could slightly increase of the country in order to be able to achieve those grades. And that's why your teachers will not be letting you rest on your laurels. They will be pushing you so that you keep improving, because that is what other students will be doing nationally. Okay, so having explained a little bit about GCSE grade distribution, I'm now going to move into hopefully some useful helps and tips for revision and independent study. I'll refer again to the fact that you will receive a full digital and physical paper copy of the booklet, and do look in there because the revision tips that I'm about to go through very briefly now, there's more information articulating those in there. Let's start with a little bit of the science behind revision, and it puts aside the often comment that I do receive regularly from students, oh, but I don't know how to revise. Revision, quite simply, when it comes down to it, is are you remembering? Are you remembering what's on the course specification and what you've been taught? And usually students might have remembered it in the moment, but as human beings, we will forget information that our brain deems not important. And what I don't mean by that is that what the students have learned that lesson was not important. Our brain doesn't work that way. Our brain doesn't know what is important and what isn't. It simply knows, what am I having to be constantly recalling? That must be useful information. So put quite simply, if you are told something once and never come across it again, your brain will deem that as not used, and it will not secure it and store it in your long-term memory. It's proven, and it's quite frightening how fast that can happen. Within 1 hour, so within an hour of you watching me on this video, you'll probably have forgotten at least half of what I've been through. Within a day, it's 70% forgotten, and within a week, it can be as high as 90 or more. And that's natural. But the only way of extending that is through repetition. And so when students say, I don't know what revision is, the simplest answer is, well, you know what it is. It's repetition and going over what we've done before. And we're doing that to try and extend what we're calling the forgetting curve. The longer, the more times we revisit and review the same piece of information, we're going over and over it again. Our brain is securing it and storing it in our long-term memory. So I'll go through advice for how to revise, but the first question when students say, I don't know what revision is, it's quite simple. It's going over what you've previously done to secure it in your long-term memory. But revision is tough in practice. So I'm going to go through with you what are my 5 main steps and bits of advice. The first is make sure you're set up properly. Make sure you've got the right study environment. Have you got all the materials you need to hand? Have you got a quiet space where you're away and where you're not going to get distracted? Well, that leads into step 2, which is improving your concentration. And it's quite natural and easy to make a strong start, been going for an hour, but now I'm losing my concentration, and that's normal. So it's important to make sure that you're mixing up your revision, not trying to do it too long for hours on end to keep your interest and motivation going. But it's also important to remove those obvious distractions. And the number one thing is normally mobile phone or possibly TV. So it is so much better to commit. I'm going to lock myself away. I'm going to concentrate and dedicate on this now. I'm not watching or listening or seeing my phone ping and getting distracted. Next is knowing what to revise, and that can also be quite daunting too, because there's a wide range of things that students are learning in every individual lesson they do. But the best starting point is to have all that collated in one place. Students' exercise books that they've got are the best place for this. They're working through a course methodically. But there's obviously also revision guides, and quite handy in most revision guides is The front page, the very first content page, is effectively a checklist. And you could work your way through that and make sure you've done every topic once, every topic twice. And more importantly than just working through from page 1 all the way to the end, are you going strategically straight to, no, that's a topic that I know I'm not confident with, so I'm going to go to that one first or do that one more frequently. Step 4 would be what you're actually doing for your revision. Now, doing any revision is better than none, but there is bad revision and there is good revision when it comes to how effective is it going to be and how much is it going to work and how much you remember. And the more interactive you are, or the more passive you are, is the biggest factor in that. So if you are doing what students often will turn to because it's comforting, I'm going to get a book, I'm going to copy out a whole page, isn't that great? I've done a load of work, but how much of it has actually sunk in? That's not effective. That's just copying. I could give it you in a foreign language and you could do it, you wouldn't understand it. It's much better that students are forcing themselves to retrieve information, that they're actually going through, right, what do I know already? Let's list all that out. Now let's actively open the book. What did I miss? What did I not know? Flashcards can be a really good way for that. But obviously, that's a big part of assessment in lessons. Students are regularly being given quizzes and retrieval to see what they do and don't know from memory first. And the last step, the last tip, would be about having the right routine that I've already mentioned. You're not going to go in and concentrate for hours on end. It is much better to be focused. I've got a timetable, I'm going to follow it, I'm going to do 30 minutes on this now, and then move on to 30 minutes on this now, and then move on to 30 minutes on this now. And over a case of 2 or 3 hours, you've actually covered quite a lot, kept yourself motivated and interested, and you've been spacing out what you've been doing and interleaving and re-going over things. So as part of step 5, creating a revision timetable can be a really useful technique. And if I was to say 2 things, that would be 1. Have you got a routine and a discipline that you will stick to? And is that a manageable routine where you're going to be able to keep your concentration and vary up what you're doing? And often, if things are written down, we're going to do this then, we're more committed and more likely to stick to it. So regularly, students will be given paper copies of revision timetables so they can map them out. But obviously, if they want one regularly, every week, if they ask their form tutor, we can provide those. And my second one would be, you can have the best timetable in the world, you can map it out, you can stick to it. But if what you're trying to do in your revision is just copying, it won't be as effective. So please read the further advice in the booklet, listen to the further advice that you receive in lessons and assemblies from me and what you will on mock results day. Try and actively engage in your revision and not just sit and copy. But obviously, we want to guide students. We're not just leaving them to completing revision solely independently. But one of the biggest things that I get told that's a frustration is, well, sir, I couldn't do the homework this week because I was too busy doing my revision. And that's just a contradiction. The homework that Year 11 are being set every week, it is revision. So that rather than being left and not knowing where to start, your teachers have consciously thought about that. What am I going to set them this week? What task? What topic? So your teachers are helping guide your revision. So Year 11, you should be expecting to receive homework every week from every subject. So parents, please do look that your child is receiving and doing those. But beyond class exercise books, students will hopefully want to take part in independent extra revision. And as I've mentioned, revision guides can be a great place for those. They're widely available on Amazon. If you look in this information booklet, it will show you what subject and what exam board, so you can be sure you're buying the right one. But often subjects actually sell them within school. So if you ask your child to ask their class teacher, I'm sure they can guide them to where they can purchase it in school. But if you're buying it independently, Amazon Bookshop, do look in this booklet. It will tell you exactly what exam boards that you know you're buying the right one. And so part of that structured revision, as well as homework, is what we call our period 6, which is our extra lesson at the end of the day after school revision. What you've got on the screen there is what you've had sent by myself previously, is a list of just a huge number of after school revision sessions that are on. And everything on that screen there, and again, this is written in the booklet, is available for all Year 11 students to attend. They don't need to give prior notice. they do obviously need to notify you so that you know where they are, but students can attend these openly every week. And you can see there's a whole range of subjects, and often those subjects are on more than one night a week, because we understand that students might want to go to one period 6 on one day and attend on a different subject on a different day. And that's a huge commitment there from your teachers here at Newman, and just how much they're going on to make sure you've got an extra 45 minutes revision after school. So even if you are really disciplined, really effective at revising from home on your own, you could still every day attend a period 6 apart from Wednesday, where you could spend another extra lesson, effectively an extra 45 minutes after school, working through revision and working through it with a teacher and a subject specialist. So year 11, please, if you haven't attended any period 6 sessions right now, please consider attending them. And for those of you that have, well done, I know they've been helpful. Please keep it up, because these will run right the way up to the exams all year. I'll finish then by just showing you an example of one of the subject pages that I've kept referencing. Please do make sure you look in the booklet that you will receive, as it's got specific information in there for every subject, pointing towards resources, assessment, how the course is broken down. Hopefully really helpful information in there for you. So thank you for watching. Hopefully helpful information there for you. And if you do need anything, like I said, there's a useful list of contacts in there. Please do get in touch. Year 11, it's incredibly difficult, it's incredibly stressful, but we're here to help. And the key is diligently working every lesson, every day, and making sure when you are applying yourself outside of lessons that you're doing it in an effective way that you can. It can feel daunting, it can feel that you can't, and it can feel when you're first starting off, you've got a long way to go. But if you keep chipping away at it every day, every week, a little bit more, you will build up to a point where you are feeling confident and ready. So best of luck in your mock exams in 3 weeks, year 11, and I will speak to everybody shortly.